right, good morning. My name is Dala Alfonso, and I am here in Abuja at the moment. During breakfast this morning, I saw something that was really disturbing, and so I thought, somebody needed to say something about it. Now, I titled this, I'm not sure what to call it, a rant or venting or just wanting to make sure that there's a change. What is the life of a Nigerian worth? What is the life of a Nigerian worth? Now, let me take you back a little bit into my life's journey so that you can understand where I'm coming from. About 22 years ago, I was flying from Singapore, coming back to Nigeria on business. And the plane in which I was traveling in got hijacked. 125 people died at the point of that crash. About 50 of us survived the initial impact and were hospitalized in the Comoros Islands. Within 24 hours, there was a plane that arrived and airlifted all Americans. Aircrafts arrived to airlift all the Europeans. They took out all the Israelis. I mean, anybody from any nation, even South Africa, came and got their citizens. Nigeria, we did not even get to see any person. The earliest we saw someone was after we had been airlifted to the hospital in Nairobi. Somebody showed up and gave us $200 each. Days after many Nigerians were killed in the plane crash and nobody was there to account for them. Now, coming back home, I drive the roads and see the state in which our roads are. Look at our airports. Look at our... there's no infrastructure. I mean, human beings are living worse than animals in other parts of the world. And yet we have functional governments. We have individuals who are siphoning the wealth and the resources of this nation for personal gains. They won't even go to the same hospitals that they claim they are opening for the average citizens because they're busy sending their kids and their families abroad for treatment and for education. And yet we keep voting the same people in every time. Yet the average Nigerian does not even think it is okay to stand up and challenge the status quo. This makes no sense. I do not understand the logic behind this. Now, this morning I was watching the news and I saw that 16 people had been arrested as suspects for the killing of 7 herdsmen. Now that rings a bell because barely weeks ago we had tens, I think about 76 if I'm getting this correct, men, women and children, some unborn, butchered, and nobody said anything. There was a mass outcry, there was a mass burial of innocent civilians just living in their homes, trying to put food on the table, and they were butchered. And nobody said a thing. The government did not even think it was appropriate for even the president to show up, where close to 100 of your citizens are killed and nobody did anything about it. But in the last 24 hours, 7 herdsmen were killed in the same area where these innocent people were killed and nobody had done anything for weeks. Within 24 hours, the police had been dispatched. 16 people have been arrested. And the police is making an outcry about it. This is the height of injustice. This is the height of insensitivity. Somebody needs to stand up and speak up, because this is ridiculous. This is not right. It's unethical. No nation treats its citizens like this. Now, please listen to me and listen to me closely. I am not an advocate for violence. I am not supporting the loss of life in any way. It doesn't matter if it is civilians or herdsmen or whoever it is. A life is a life. I am not in support of killings or anything, but I'm simply saying that our government's approach to the matter is lopsided and it is wrong. You know, there's a saying in Hausa, Allah ya isa. It simply means that God is able. God is a just God. You cannot treat people anyhow and expect that there is one greater than you that will keep quiet and watch it. But more importantly, what are we as Nigerians doing about it? Why is it okay for our fathers, our mothers, our daughters, and our children to be raped and pillaged and killed and nobody can say anything about it? What is normal about people being killed just being at home? What is the Nigerian life worth? Maybe that's why nobody's saying anything. There are kidnappings, there are robberies, there are murders going on every single day. I mean, you kill a whole human being. A whole human being is being killed for 1 million naira, which is less than $3,000. How much is the life worth? Have we reached that point where life has no value whatsoever? Have we reached? Do you know what it means for this heart to keep beating? Do you understand what it means for this dynamic human being to be put together? We may not have any value for it, but life is worth something. Let's stand up for the sanctity of life. If we don't want to stand up for anything, let's stand up for just this one thing, that life is worth something. Let me tell you something. If an American gets abducted, in fact, funny enough, something recently happened like that. I think I understood that some Americans and some Europeans were abducted in Kaduna. And within a matter of days, they were found. Why? Because the nation understands the value of a life. The nation understands the importance of its government. The government understands its responsibility to ensure that all of its citizens are catered for, are cared for, and are covered by the entity called a government. It is the sovereign responsibility of every nation not only to protect, but also to provide for the people of that nation. But what is our government doing? What are our leaders doing? What qualifies them to even be called leaders if they do not even care about the sanctity of life? Every Nigerian has become a government to himself. The average Nigerian provides his own electricity, provides his own water, provides his own security. Then why do we need a government? You can't even go out on the street without the fear of somebody mugging you or killing you simply because they think you have something they can take. When was the last time our nation was able to provide something as simple as jobs? We have graduates graduating out of colleges of out of universities in droves and just being pumped into the unemployment market. When are we going to create jobs? When are we going to create security? When are we going to provide the basic necessities? I'm talking about the basic utilities like food, water, roads, electricity. A nation like Nigeria is still struggling with a common sickness called malaria. It's sad. Every Nigerian has become a pharmacist and a doctor by himself because he knows that he can. It just blows my mind. I do not understand how. And yet, we have everything, both human and natural resources, that most of the developed nations are dying for. What is a Nigerian life worth? I just hope you won't just watch this video and just look away. Because, share this video. I don't know who is going to hear this, but this is not right. This is not right. This is unfair. It's not dignified for human beings to live like this. We don't even have emergency posts. First of all, the roads are bad. So if you're in a car accident or something, God help you. You can't even find good medical treatment within 5 minutes or 10 minutes. I've seen young people in their 20s, in their 30s, dying in the last few years simply because they don't have access to simple things like a dialysis machine in an entire state. And yet, we're calling ourselves the giant of Africa. The giant of what? What qualifies us? What is the basis? Who gives us the right for that? No, it's not fair. It's not right. We need to stand up as a people. It's enough is enough. Listen, Nigerians are we're very obedient people in our own way. But our obedience are being leveraged on by people who understand our culture. What does that mean? You see, we do not complain about the things that we want to see change. Or we complain about it, but we do not put our foot down. For instance, you go to a hotel and the hotel says, hey, we're providing you buffet. I mean, like breakfast buffet or something, which is okay. You've paid for the service. But when you come out, they'll tell you, oh, the food is finished. And the typical Nigerian will be like, okay, and just walk away. Why? You've paid for the service, for God's sake. Somebody has to stand up and say, go provide it. You need to start standing up for what is right. Until we as citizens of this nation begin to stand up for what is right, those individuals that call themselves leaders who have only found their way into the political arena because of how they can gain, they can be able to siphon from the masses, will continue to treat us worse than livestock. And I mean that literally. We are a nation of laws. We need to know our laws. We need to know our rights. And it is the right of every Nigerian to stand up for the basic things that make it right for living. Your life is worth something. Start speaking up. Your life is worth something. Don't settle for just anything. Your life is worth something. It is time for us to rise up and stop this nonsense. We are Nigerians. We're some of the smartest people on earth. We're some of the most innovative people on earth. A Nigerian will always find a way around every obstacle. This obstacle called the mess in this nation, we need to find a way around it. And politicians are not the solution. As a matter of fact, they are part of the problem. They have formed a cabal that has been built around an endemic culture of corruption. The corruption is so deep, it's almost like a cancer. The only way it can be resolved is almost by literally tearing out the fabric of the nation. But we will not get there. We will find a way if you and I can stand up and speak up honestly. This makes no sense. What is a Nigerian life worth? And I want you to think about this honestly. I want you to think about this critically. Share this video. Let the truth be told. This year, let every Nigerian, this is a new year, it's a new opportunity for us. Listen up and stand up for what is right. Enough is enough. As we say it here back home, you know, we can do anything. Nigerians are innovative. Nigerians are amazing people. We can touch the stars if we want to. But we cannot do it without, first of all, being unified and knowing our rights. Stand up. Begin to fight. Speak up. Don't be silent. Because as long as we're silent, those people in positions of authority will think it is absolutely okay to treat us like trash. We are not. We stood up when the president of another nation referred to our continent as a shithole. We were all angry, we were all up in arms. But what about how your own government is treating you? Why can't you stand up with the same tenacity? Why can't you stand up with the same anger? Why can't you do something about it? There are only very few voices speaking, but those voices aren't loud enough. Alone we're a voice, but when we come together, we are a force that can be reckoned with. It is time for every Nigerian to stand up and start speaking. It is time for every Nigerian to stand up and say enough is enough. It is time for every Nigerian to get up and say my life is worth something. You are not a platform for other people to attain to their dreams and their objectives. You are a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and that gives you a right like any person, irrespective of what part of the nation they come from, whether from the south, the east, the north, or the west, whatever tribe or tongue they speak. You have the same rights because you carry the same passport. In your body flows the same red blood, and you have the same cells. So do not settle for anything less. Enough is enough. So I just hope that any well-meaning Nigerian, anybody in Nigeria, anybody that cares a little bit for the destiny or for the future of this nation needs to stand up and start doing what is right. Stand up and start speaking up for what is right. Enough is enough. And I really hope that we can begin to do something about this, because too much of this mess has kept us, I mean, below human dignity. So I really hope that somebody will get this message and in your own little way begin to speak up. And let's the corners, it's already election season. Let us get up and find men and women who have the heart of the nation. We're not talking about individuals with empty promises. We're talking about people who understand the value of a life. Let them start working for us. We put them there to work for us. They are not there to work for themselves. So it is time for every Nigerian to get up and speak. God bless you.